Hi, Elizabeth. This is Cameron and Vanessa Knight.
Hi, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much for reaching out to us with your question regarding this gentleman that you sent digital flowers to, and what his response might be and what the situation might yield going forward. So with that said, what we like to do for these types of readings is Vanessa will shuffle the cards. Every once in a while one pops out too.
I was just gonna say, oh my goodness, I think they all just did.
And then
Okay.
we'll just let it flow and just kind of see where that leads.
That rarely happens, actually. That's cool.
Yeah, that is
But I'm gonna spread them anyway, just for fun.
okay.
And maybe we'll want to pull a fourth one. We'll see where
Yeah.
it leads us.
We
Okay,
keep
so
it loose here.
the first one that popped out is the Hermit.
The Hermit card. So what this says to me intuitively, and one of the things I should say I love about the tarot, it's an archetypal and artistic representation of principles and truths. And so as we go along and we lend our interpretation to these cards, don't forget to add your own and what you see, because the more eyes on something and hearts, especially intuitive ones, which I know that you have, I sense, the more help. But what I see is the individual that you've reached out for is in a singular mindset right now. And that is not to say a selfish one. The Hermit is actually somebody who has gone off mentally, emotionally, spiritually on his own, and in some cases physically, in order to glean something that's going to bring him closer to truth. And that can manifest, that can articulate itself in so many different ways in life. But it can lend itself to a singular pointed focus many times, which can cause one to disregard even lovely things, truthful things that appear before them, like digital flowers. And so to me, this says that please don't be discouraged or offended by the fact that he has not received this yet. To me, this just says he is, he's more inward than outward right now, according to the cards. What do you think?
Yeah, I like how you said that. We all have different timelines in which we're open to being receptive to gifts like that. And so, again, don't be discouraged and don't be put off by any means if it takes a while. If you feel drawn to this person, have patience. And you'll know, I think, intuitively if it's gone on too long and you're not getting a response.
Yeah, right.
In which is probably better to kind of point your nose elsewhere. And also there's the science of distraction, like not focusing or hyper-focusing too much on the fact that you've sent out this gift. Sometimes we just have to put things out in the universe and let it go.
That's a great point.
We don't always get it back in the way that we want to get it back. It may not even be a return from that particular person that you sent it to, but be open-minded, to receiving returns in other forms. It could be from another love interest who's somebody who has interest in you that you have no idea they even exist,
exactly.
So just keep your heart and mind open when it comes to who you're pursuing. Don't be too hyper-focused, because if this person is in kind of a hermit mindset right now, then it's not anything against you. It's just that their focus is elsewhere and it's more internal.
Yes. One of my favorite quotes I've ever heard about pursuing that inner voice, which I'm so glad you mentioned in your write-up. I think you said something like you felt a really strong pull to do this, to put yourself out on the line and to take that leap. I love that, because one of my favorite quotes is, nothing is wasted along the path if one pursues that feeling. Whatever gesture you make, whatever direction you go, if you feel that draw, there was a truth in it. That truth could just be you building up that muscle to do what that voice says. I mean, really. And so please keep that in mind going forward.
Yeah, I agree. And sometimes it's just either an inherent knowing that someone in particular that we're drawn to needs that type of generosity at that time.
Yeah.
And it may not have anything to do with a love interest, but you never know what you're going to help someone through in their time of need. So in that spirit of generosity, don't be jaded or have any expectations and hope for a return, but just kind of let it go and appreciate that you had that impetus to be that generous.
Vanessa actually gave me a similar counsel recently, which kind of fortuitously kind of manifested itself, where she said to me, we need to put things out there because you never know when you're going to get that return, just like she told you. And oftentimes it could come years later. The reason I mention that is because I had a personal project that I did a few years before, and just kind of I put it out there and it just went quiet. And then just a few weeks or days ago, we saw that come around in our life in a really interesting way, in a very visual way that I don't know how to say it. It was picked up on.
It's fun
right?
to see it full circle.
Yeah, it was something. It was picked up. It was lying in wait to be picked up. And so many of those intuitive actions that we do are not meant for that moment. Think of our actions like, spiritual seeds that we plant. They need time to gestate. So.
And especially when it comes to the realm of love or having interest in someone, you want to respect where they're at. That is recognizing that someone is an individual, and so to have that expectation that they're going to return things in our timeline creates a resistance to that kind of love that you would want to be open to when it comes to having a relationship.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. The next one is Judgment.
The Judgment card is the 20th card in the Major Arcana, and it is essentially just nearing the end of the Fool's journey through the whole sequence of the tarot. And it is a representation, essentially, of the very sound and well-known principle, what goes around comes around, and what we mete out in this world is measured out equally to us. And so it speaks for itself in many ways. That because of your honesty and because of your forthrightness in pursuing love intuitively, as you expressed in your write-up, no harm will come to you. That's one of my favorite quotes that I listened to today, actually, that said, when you are on the path of grace or truth, no harm can come to you. Now, that's a loaded thing to say, because I'm sure there's a lot of examples there are of people that are enduring hard times or have harm come to them when they're in the pursuit of this truthful, passion. But what it really means is that our spirit and our essence in love will not be jaded or scarred or undirected. So it doesn't speak so much to the form as to the spirit of things. And so I see this as a very positive card. And again, Judgment is a positive card. It is not a condemning card. It's not something that is to be fearful, but a recognition that all will be well in the end of things.
Yeah, I like that you also touched on it being the end of a cycle. That's what I see, but I would like to pull the additional card in support because they jumped out together.
Okay.
So.
Deal.
This one is Fortitude. And that is am I looking at this right? I'm not used to this deck yet. Looks like an 11. Justice?
Oh, yeah, that's an interpretation of justice. Or strength. No, yeah, sorry.
Sorry, we're getting used to these cards.
Yeah, this is a new deck, but we really like it.
So, Justice, aka Fortitude.
Can I speak to the theme that I'm getting from this?
Please.
I want to say, and I have to be honest, Elizabeth, I feel like what this is saying is be confident in yourself and in the honest attempt that you made, because I don't necessarily see this coming to full fruition. In other words, fortitude to me suggests you have done everything right in this gesture. You have done nothing wrong, but be strong in the fact that this is not particularly going to yield fully what you anticipated. But be aware of your judgment, and also be aware of the first card, that this has to do less about you and more of a singular mindset that this individual is in and on right now. That does not put an end to this in any way. It does not say that there's not any potentiality. One of the things Vanessa and I like to say is these readings speak to this moment in time. But this moment in time is saying that you did great. I love your story and what you did, and carry on. Just carry on in strength and virtue, and all will be well with you.
Yeah, that spirit of generosity is going to take you far in life. And to have that fortitude, I think it also falls in line with the not having expectations, because when we have expectations, that's when we get disappointed. And as my husband and I have learned very difficultly, that things never go as planned.
Yeah.
So when it comes to putting yourself out there, it praise to you for having the confidence to do that, especially from the feminine perspective. Like it makes you very vulnerable to approach a man, in any form, whether, albeit digitally, physically, in person. It doesn't really matter. The intention is still the same. So with that said, you've set your intention. If that draw is there, it may be reciprocated. And this doesn't point to an end necessarily. It does point to an end of a cycle, but I'm getting that's more for you. And also, I'm just being led to remind you to also distract yourself from the idea of love and relationships, and then that's when it's going to really reveal itself, is when you least expect it.
Yeah, one of the lines that I think most of, because I actually have a really hard time with it, and it kind of bothered me when I first came across it, is a line from the Bhagavad Gita that says, "Think not of the fruit of action." It is our responsibility as ensouled individuals or human beings, to act upon that inner impulse, as you said, not impulse, but that prompting, that voice of spirit, but to not assume, like Vanessa said, where it's going to go, because it will lead to disappointment, and it will be, you could say, kind of contaminated by ignorance. The thought itself comes, true to form, but when we meddle with it, that's when we get kind of led astray. So you acted appropriately, and what comes of it, that is for the future to hold. What I love about your question, though, is it reminded me a lot of what Vanessa and I do, which we loved giving Easter eggs. Especially Vanessa, she's really prompted me more to do this, to leave little surprises, to do things and gifts for people where they'll never know. We'll never get to see how they reacted. We'll never even know if they found it or not. We just rest confident in the fact that we felt compelled to do it, and then we just leave it from the universe to do with it what it will. You did that very same thing by acting upon that, making yourself vulnerable, and giving a beautiful gift. So well done for that. And I love that you listen to that inner voice. So often in life, we as individuals don't. We push it away, especially when we feel slighted by it, because we don't get what we thought we should have from that interaction. So please carry on in that spirit of generosity.
Yeah, and I like how you worded that, because it's thinking more expansively, in like a building up of karmic riches, so to speak, and that particular intention, although pointed a certain direction, may actually fall on someone else or another circumstance in which it will be most beneficial. So that's what I mean by being in that spirit of generosity.
Yeah.
So you'll get a return.
Wonderful. Well, should we give her an oracle card?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, we like to do a little oracle card at the end, because they're single word cards, which I believe, and it's been proven that just having a singular fixed word to kind of focus on helps us concentrate our energy, and it ties in the whole reading as a word you can use to kind of come back and reflect on this reading.
I really like these because I have a really difficult time remembering the 3 cards that I draw for myself. And so the last card giving me one word just to meditate on really helps, and it seems to stick in my mind a bit better since I have a bad memory. Did you shuffle these already?
No.
Okay. I didn't want to be disrespectful. Okay. Our card is Reawaken.
Awesome.
That's a great one. That's the first time we've gotten this card.
Yeah, that is. Deck. We'll give you a little close-up of it. I love these cards because they're very symbolic, and so it allows the imagination to kind of speak for the card, because you only have one word to represent it. When I see a little floating hand or arm in a tarot reading, I see it as that hidden hand or unseen hand of spirit, kind of coming out of the clouds and bestowing the gift of plenty. So to me, this just says that you're provided for, you're cared for. Be open, allow yourself to receive the gifts of the spirit as they come in, and not name them or try to define what's happening in your life, but really just greet it with an open faith. That would be my interpretation of reawaken. What about yours?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a really good way to word it. To me, it just calls for you to look past like I don't know if you said this, sorry, I might be repeating
Oh,
you.
please.
Like the superficial standard of calling upon relationships and how that's meant to be constructed. So I'm just led to tell you to have an open mind, to be completely open-hearted, but have discernment, and try not to be too influenced by culture and society and even your own negative thoughts.
Yeah.
You know, that can really take hold and lead us down a path of anxiety and resentment, and by that I mean even like a resentment of self. You know, you don't want to start questioning why you do things when you had that initial impulse to do it, and that is where I believe it kind of takes away from that magic. So continue down that path in feeding those impulses, because they can only lead to a type of love, a love of oneself, in this case for you, and also love for the people that you direct it towards.
Beautifully said. Well, Elizabeth, I hope this was helpful for you. If it was too, let us know. You know, we always like to hear if our words resonate, and or these words resonate, I should say. And we wish you every good thing. And thank you so much for your question.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Bye-bye.